Fire Radio.
This episode is brought to you by HME Aaron's Fox. When it comes to fire apparatus, the industry right now is facing some big challenges. Higher costs, long delivery times, and uncertainty at every turn. But that's where HME Aaron's Fox stands apart. Built in the U.S. with a legacy that dates back for over a century, HME Aaron's Fox is redefining what departments can expect from their next rig. Their lineup of custom and commercial pumpers, tankers, and wildland trucks are designed with precision, craftsmanship, and purpose. And most importantly, they're available. While other manufacturers are quoting years out, HME continues to deliver trucks that are ready for service, bucking the national trend of the new normal. They've streamlined their process, focused on smart engineering, kept their builds affordable, reliable, and attainable for departments of every size. So if your department is tired of waiting and ready to put a new rig on the street, it's time to take a closer look at HME Aaron's Fox. Visit firetrucks.com to see what's ready to roll today and experience a company that's truly flipped the script on the fire apparatus industry. Hey everyone, Jeremy, National Fire Radio. Welcome back to the show today. Well, I guess second time's the charm, Matt, considering you and I did this once before about a month and a half ago. And, well, in the world of podcasting, sometimes we have technical issues, man. So welcome back.
All good.
I was terrified to send you that message when we got done when we were recording that night. A window popped up on the recording software, and I kind of ignored it, and I shouldn't have. And that's one of those things. That's like when you're driving and the warning light comes on for something in your car, and you're just like, I'll get to it, right? Well, that's kind of what I did when we were recording. And after a great conversation, I went to publish it, and halfway through the audio cut out, and then it clicked over to not using a microphone, and the quality was terrible, and I don't know what happened. It was a glitch, and because of that, it just gets me to come back around to interview you again. So thanks for joining me, man. It's nice to have you back. And thanks for having patience with me, too. I mean, that goes a long way as well. You could have told me to go pound, you know?
No, it's all good. It's fun to try again.
Is engineer extraordinaire, 18 years, Gwinnett County, Georgia. Brother, you and I have had some great conversations. I want to dive right into it because I already got a preview into what this interview is going to look like. So now we can go deeper on it, right? So at the end of the day, I know the engineer position is near and dear to your heart. It's that informal officer. It's that step before anything has to rise above and get into the officer's office, right? And so on. And so talk to me a little bit about that path for you and how and why you value your position so much.
That would have to be the mentors before me would have to be the biggest one on that. Man, they spent so much time with us, so much time. Just over and over, pushed us, made us learn our positions, the positions above them, and really just spent the time. They're like dads to us, you know? They just really took care of us, and I just want to pass that on and do the same thing for the next generation.
Yeah, but why did they go all in on you guys? Was that just the way it was then? Was it they had the same, mentorship that they provided you? Because I find like it changes every generation, and so like to hear that guys are that they went all in on you, right? They gave you opportunity, they gave you the knowledge and the skill set and the ability to do it, right? I mean, that goes a very long way.
I think for us, a lot of it was the mentality of that particular station. It was hard knocks. We worked really, really hard from the captain all the way down to the firefighters. Everybody participated in everything, and we always worked together. So I think it was a lot of the leadership or how that station was run. It was just expected. And you knew it when you walked in the door. The expectations were laid right there on the table of what you're going to do every day, and we just did it.
The expectation's important. I find a lot of times people are confused. A lot of organizations, fire companies, even fire departments, they don't paint an accurate picture of what the expectations are of our people. And especially those that come in off the street. They go through our academies, and then we release them into the firehouses thinking that the fire companies are going to take them to the next step and educate them about the way it's done there and give them those nuances that really set people apart in this job, and yet you just said every station is a little bit different, right? So if you get planted into a firehouse or a fire station that doesn't have go-getters, your trajectory in this business is not going to be on par with somebody that gets put into an ace house, right?
No, by far. And we struggle with that a lot in our department. We have quite a few good houses, I call them, where you have the really motivators. Every time you stop by the station, they're doing some type of training. Like you don't see them in the day room. And then a majority of our stations, you go in, either they're in the day room or you can't find a soul. They're all hidden in their own little corners and doing their own little thing, where there's just a few of us that we just do everything together. Like we were at
Do you find?
my first
Yeah, go ahead.
my first station was a really big, brand new fire station. It was huge, and we were always together. Like you just didn't find people in one spot here or there. It was we were all together. If it was in the
Right.
lieutenant's office, all of us were in there.
Do you? So because of that, though, then do you think that like people flock to where they want to be? So like, because you find that like departments, right? You're in a county-wide department, right? So you got multiple stations, right? So
Right.
there's opportunity for people to go where people end up where they end up. Do you think that the A cast ends up with the A's and the B's go with the B's and the C's go with the C's?
Over time, yes. But what I'm finding strange nowadays, it seems like it's harder to get people to come to the A side. It used to be hard to get to some of these premier stations where now you'll have an opening and it's sometimes a struggle to fill them.
Go deeper on that. Explain that to me.
I don't know if it's because normally with your good houses are really busy houses. They do a lot of work, and it's not just firework. It's EMS run after EMS run after EMS run that gets some fires, and then during the downtime they're training, they're doing stuff. It's usually the houses in the battalion that put on the training for the battalion, so they're always doing things like that. And I think when it comes to an opening getting there, people just don't want to do that much work. They seem like it might be exhausting. You run too many calls. Y'all train too much. You do too much. And then I think for the younger crowd, there are some that are intimidated by the atmosphere.
That's what I was going to ask you, right?
Yes.
Because it's easier to hide in a mediocre place than it is to go to an A house where there's a higher level of expectation and standard, and so you have to dial in, right? You don't get to take a day off, right?
Right. And I here recently I found that most people take our generosity as a decent house. When we invited them over to train and do things, they're just being nice to us. And we're like, no, our doors are already open, always open. And if you don't want to come to our house, we'll come to your house. Like I've offered multiple stations, like if y'all want to train, I'll come load your hose. If it's loading hoses is keeping you from pulling lines, we will come to your station, not participate in the training, not say anything. We'll just be there to load your hose. And they still never call.
If they never call. I mean, but I wonder if they believe that's authentic, right? Because the one thing that I'm finding in the world today is everybody cares about what everybody else thinks. And so
Yes.
you have guys that are, I think, afraid to take risks in the fire service because they're worried about what their peers are going to say or do about it, right? And
Right.
I worry about that because that means that we're not creating an environment where we embrace mistakes because people aren't willing to make mistakes because they won't put themselves out there to even get into that position, which is terrifying when you take it to the fire ground, right?
Yes. Yes. We're trying to work on this in our particular battalion. We're really working on the way we train. I feel like in the past it's been a little bit different, and we're just trying to curve it to encourage training to be more of a positive thing than a negative.
It should be, right? Like if we're looking at training as something negative, right? If we have a culture in place where training is looked down upon or it's looked as a nuisance within my day, the focus is definitely wrong. I mean, you have it wrong.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the nuisance part that we're trying to curve. We're trying to curve the training aspect where the training's set up for you to fail. And it's almost like a lot of times in fire training, especially in companies, we set the training up to watch people fail. And every time somebody comes and they fail and they're getting told 100 times what they're doing wrong, they're not going to want to come to training. So we're trying to curve that to more of a positive and successful training. We're trying to give them the tools to come succeed where we're not having that failure for them to feel like they're always failing and we're constantly telling them what they're doing wrong.
Do you find that the training today, the delivery of training today is different than how it was delivered to you when you came in 18 years ago?
Yes, sir. 100%.
Why? And talk about that, because I'm really curious. I want to unpack that because I believe that too. I believe that we have to work harder today. The message has to be a little bit softer, delivered in a different way, right? Like, are you finding the same things?
Yes. It was fun for us. It was a challenge. You know, we always knew we were probably going to lose, but we just did it. And, and you look at your guide and you go, we're probably going to fail, but let's go after it with 110%. And, you know, it's always the extra stuff. And you just dealt with it. And I think it helped because it really caused us to have a lot of stressors that we had to work through. So there's a time and place for that nowadays versus all the time. I think we should learn the skills, be very proficient at the skills before we start adding those stressors where back in the day it was like, hey, let's go ahead and hit them right off the bat. And it never stopped, but it just depended on how you looked at it. Was it a challenge or was it a person trying to make you look bad?
Crawl, walk, run, right?
Right. But you know,
You
it's
gotta
like
you gotta have patience though, right? And that's the thing that I think is a big part of this equation is the lack thereof.
right. But you know, and I've been in the situation of teaching. My teaching has changed a lot over the years, and I took a lot of what I learned in the beginning, where we made things very hard and difficult, made people challenge themselves to a degree that they weren't ready for, and I just learned it's just not appropriate. It's just I don't get anything
Like
out
trying
of
to
it. They
break
don't
a
get
guy
anything
on
out
his
of it.
first day.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like trying to break a guy on his first day, right? I mean, years ago, that's how it was done. They would push new guys to the limits within their first day, even with the fire academy, right? How many fire academies
yes,
dress people down and then they build them back up? And that was the way it had been done for a very, very long time. The problem is like that style of teaching and training this day and age. I don't know if it resonates like it once did.
no, and I think back then we were able to find firefighters in that way. And what I mean by that is we would break them down, and if they couldn't be built back up or they didn't fail beforehand, then you're like, oh, that's a fireman. Where I honestly think that if we spend a little more time, we can create firemen. We don't just have to look at a room and say, hey, you're a fireman, you're a fireman, the rest of you aren't. I think sometimes if we spend a little more time, we can make more of those people we didn't think were firemen actual firemen.
Do you have a case in point? Like, do you have a story or somebody you know that like you saw his process or her process and was like, man, I didn't give this guy a chance, and now look at him. You know, we got it, we got to him, we helped him along, and now he's doing well.
Yeah, I have more than one. Yes, sir. I've gotten some from other stations that they're like, hey, he's a loser. He's not going to work. He's lazy, this, and that. And I just come in on a new plate and just put the standards out there. I explain why we do the things we do, in the order that we do them, um, and we just go at it. And before long, they just start to understand. And it's the simple things that we have to explain. Like, why does the firefighter need to run to answer the phone before anybody else? Hey, why do you got to make sure the bathrooms are clean? Hey, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to do that? And spend a little bit of time to explain the why and not just, you're the rookie, you're supposed to do that.
What I so good because all the conversations I have, there's so many times I talk to guys and they're like, I have stories of guys telling me that they never made a pot of coffee until they got to the firehouse. They never had done
Yes.
laundry before. They never had to put, linens on a bed. And we live in a world, I think about my kids and what I do for my kids. Like I do 100 times more for my children than what my parents did for me. And my parents were very generous with me, kind and loving, but they did a lot for me. But man, do I do so much more for my kids. Right? So it's like
Yes.
we're creating that disconnect, right? Is like, what does every generation want? We want to make it easier for the next generation, right? We don't want to
Yes.
watch our kids struggle. So here you and I are doing things for them that our parents would have never have done for us, right?
Right. And I've learned that with my kids, and sometimes I regret some of it, but
Me too, pal. Me too. I get it,
like
man.
I wish I would have struggled.
I get it. I really get it. But now it parlays into the firehouse, right? Or it parlays it. When I saw something the other day where they were talking about how many parents go on interviews with their kids to their first job, could you
Oh, we're
imagine?
having a lot of that. We're having
What?
parents call the academy complaining about the way they're being treated or asking questions or uh, asking if their work's being done like it's supposed to. What can they help them to do? Oh, it's a whole different world than I could not
My
imagine my mom calling.
my brain hurts so hard right now, dude. Oh my god. Are you kidding? Like, I'm not
No,
surprised. I am not
no.
surprised, but holy shit.
We're having recruits go 6 weeks into recruit school and finally realize they're supposed to work 24-hour shifts when they finally get done.
Wow. When you unpack that, when you truly think about it and you unpack all that, you think about the introduction to what the fire service is. There is this, when you and I came through, there was an expectation. Like, we kind of knew already what to
Yeah.
expect, right? I mean, I was a legacy kid, so like I grew up in the firehouse. I knew what to expect, right? But even a kid coming in from the outside knew that it was a blue collar job. They knew they could get hurt. They knew that if it's volunteer, you have to give up Christmas and holidays and weekends. If it's a career job, you're going to work the holidays. You're going to work at 24 hours. You're going to work overnight. You're not going to get sleep some nights. Like, that's all reality. But for people to walk in the door today and not to understand that, that just goes to show that we have to educate even harder on the upfront, just on the simple things that we once took for granted.
Yeah, I really think there should be 2 week period before recruit school starts where finances are talked about, retirement's talked about, the expectations of the fire department, the real world of the fire service. Not just the glory pictures, grandma on the floor covered in crap, you're having to get them. Just the real part of it, how it affects your family, everything. Just lay it all out on the line, and then at the end of that, just hand them a piece of paper and say, do you want to join or not? But give them the opportunity to give them everything we have up front before they even start.
A lot of what I talk about with my Bridging the Gap class, I talk about opportunity. Kids have more opportunity than ever before, right? When a kid can sell Nikes on eBay and Facebook Marketplace for $150,000 a year flipping sneakers, why does he want to be a fireman? Right? And so the fire service is competing with so many other things that we once never had to compete with before, right? And so when you look at that, I think you're right. I think there needs to be a precursor to the academy to give them a real roundabout understanding of what this job is, what it's about, what the expectations are, because there probably are a lot of people that get disillusioned coming through the process, and if they don't, and what they don't understand and can't value until they put years into it is what the fire service can truly do for you as an individual. Like,
Oh,
that's
yes.
hard to show the return, that personal return that I have right in here. That personal return takes years and years to get, right?
Yes. But I mean, we have to touch the strings to them too. You do so much good in what we do. Like, if you're just that servant type
Great.
of individual, it's an easy job. We go and help folks. When they can't handle the problem, they call us. We come swooping in like little heroes, and even if it's just a smoke detector beeping, It's one of the most annoying calls you can run at 3 o'clock in the morning. But the old lady's getting up and she can't sleep, and you're able to go in there and change it, and she's happy as can be. Just putting a smile on somebody's face is just, I don't know. You can't beat that.
Matt, I think you're right, man. I don't think we talk about that enough, right? I think we get jaded by, in the real busy places or, houses that are getting kicked in the teeth every day with medical runs and then doing service calls on top of that. We can get jaded very fast in regards to how we view the public that we're serving. But man,
Right.
I'll tell you, like we got coffee the other day after a run. I think it was Sunday morning. We got coffee after the run, and there's these nice older couple in front of me online. The woman turns around and she looks at us. Right, we're all got our half dressed in gear or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, we're which department, right?" So we were talking to her, or which company we're talking to her, and then her husband comes over, and I'm just having small talk with them. But I took away from that so much joy because they engaged us because we're viewed as somebody of importance, right? Firefighters, right? They look at
Right.
us and they feel comfortable enough to have a conversation. And I loved engaging them because we had a couple laughs and we were, I always joke and kind of like push buttons a little bit to see how people will react, with like, just having fun with them. And when you walk away from that, I go, that's why we do this. Like, I love that. You get that fulfillment. I had a wonderful interaction with this couple. They were this beautiful like couple in their 70s, and they were poking fun at each other, and we were having a good talk. But my point is like those little moments can get lost if we get too jaded or run down with the hardness of this job. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, but it's coming. Like we all have those moments where we're just
Yeah.
disgusted with what we're doing
Yeah.
at the time. But it's finding a place to express that, and then realize when you get to the call, you got to be 100% professional. And a lot of times, the effort to be professional turns out to be an enjoyable call. Like you trying to be nice and doing the right thing, and all of a sudden, when you get that smile, that appreciation, you're like, you know what? It's all right. It's okay if I didn't get sleep tonight because I just made somebody's day. That's how I look
Yeah.
at it.
How do you with your mentorship when you were coming up, you talked so highly of it. Was that kind of ingrained in you, instilled into you that like, it's about the people and the mission, and we're here to help people, and that's part of the reward.
Oh yes, sir. If not, he would take us back, and we would get a pretty good talking to. And that captain in particular was kind of funny. He always took you to the parking lot to talk. He would never take you to his office, and either it was a good talk or a bad talk. But if he was going to really have a conversation with you, he's like, "Come on, boy, let's go to the tailgate." And you'd go out there, and it was a good one or a bad one. Most of mine, luckily, were good. So,
That's I'm writing that down. That might be the episode title is "Let's Go to the Tailgate." I love that. That's
I,
awesome. I mean, that's his style of leading, right? That's his style of positive and negative. I mean, I love when guys have a style in how they talk to their people. I love that. I absolutely love that.
and I
I
still do
know
that
it's
to
important
today.
for you training. Obviously, we've been talking. You do.
Yeah, I say, hey, let's go to the parking
You.
lot. Yeah, to all the young guys.
That's
Yep.
cool. I love that. That's very cool. Let me ask you this. I know training is super important to you. When we chatted last time, you talked about the rookie playbook, and I was fascinated by this because the way that you break down the skills for your people as they come through the door. You kind of alluded to it before that, we don't throw stressors at them until later on. I need to make sure they can do the basics, and I mean the simple
Right.
basics before we get anywhere else. So break that down for me a little bit, the importance of that rookie playbook and how you guys address that in your company.
So I think before starting on it, just to get an idea for people listening, our our department we do EMS also. So our rookie, his first day might be driving an ambulance. It might be riding tailboard of the engine, or it might be riding tailboard of the truck. So for us, it's very hard to get consistency on any skill because we do it for 24 hours, and then he may not be back on the engine for another, you know, 2 shifts. So therefore, we lose a
Right.
lot every shift. So for me, everything is done in an order that I feel like is the most important on a fire scene, where I can get the most out of the individual. The first day, our first thing is they're going to have to get dressed. So most of our day is concentrated on nothing but getting dressed. Sounds simple, but it seems to happen every time I have a recruit come in. I tell them to get dressed. They don't know where to put the radio. They don't know how to get the air pack out. And I can't do anything if they can't get dressed. You know, at least if they're dressed, I can help them through the process. You know, here, hold this hose. Hey, grab this for me, do this. So at least I can use them. Then we kind of go into the hose work, our pulling lines, and it's very slow. We use Minuteman, so they will start with just deploying 100 foot of 1 3/4 over and over and over. They'll be doing their V splits, their forwards, their reverses, and we just won't stop till that's complete. And then we will add the extra 100 foot to it. Then we'll add it coming off the truck. And then we'll start to add a few stressors. And then we go to move on to other hose loads we have. But I try to break it up into multiple different steps to complete before we put the whole process together. Where I think a lot of people are like, hey, let's pull a pre-connect. Once that pre-connect gets on the ground, we're like, hey, you did this wrong, or you didn't turn this way, or you should have grabbed this. And it seems like every time they get done, when you ask them to do it again, they'll make the same mistakes. Like they never catch on because it's just so much information at one time. So I try to break everything down into multiple steps, and we work day on day. Sometimes it may take a month for a recruit to pull across lay the way I want them to, the whole process, or it may take 2 shifts, but we will follow that process till it's done.
Systematic is the word that comes to mind, right? And it's, you know, it's so premeditated in your approach because you're looking at, and then I got to believe it's tailored. So time frame doesn't matter to you, right? Because it's tailored based on the individual, right?
Yes. There's some that to get through just the basic part of what I do will take, I've had some take 8 months. Some will do it in 2 months. It just depends on the individual. But I don't get in a rush because every time you get in a rush, the failure starts to happen more. Or every time you revisit, the failure's even more. So if you just spend the time and really be excellent on it, almost look at it as an NFL football player. You know, he may go out on that field and all he does is takes two steps to the right, 1 to the left, and he'll keep doing that over and over and over just to get that one movement down. You know, and we seem to do the movement one time and we'll go on about our business, and we'll never master that one little movement. I try to make everything more of a natural, make it second nature to you, so you're not thinking about it. And the more I'm having that firefighter not think about how he's holding the hose, what he's doing, which way he's turning, he may be able to look up and actually see what's going on and get more of the picture. So I don't want him worried about all the little stuff. I want it natural for him to do it. Like it's just easy. Second nature.
I love that, right? Second nature is so important, right? And it allows them then to be able to understand the details of things, right? Because like if they're worried about simple things like are their gloves on, or is their hood, you know, is their hood on, is their radio under the coat up and out over the collar, or however they wear it, right? Like all those little things. And that's what I loved. Like the first time we chatted, you broke all that down for me and you talked about like, I'm going to welcome you into the firehouse and we're going to spend 2 days just you getting dressed. And I'm going to make you get dressed 25 times because I want you to do it consistently day in and day out, so that as your career develops, you have a routine and it's second nature. Like that to me is so smart. And then from there, we start taking on more tasks, right? We just keep adding to it, right? Instead of, and I remember, I'm thinking back to what you had said, and I'm thinking back to like my early days. Like they would literally throw us to the wolves. I mean, like you got thrown literally into the fire, right? And it's like we had to figure shit out on our own. And some of it was creating bad habits. Some of it was not realizing that like we could be doing it so much better and so much quicker and more efficient, but nobody showed us or broke down the process, right?
No, it was grab the nozzle and go inside. That was pretty much all I got. And even early in my fire career, professional fire career, it was, hey, take the line, get it inside the house, start flowing water. There was nothing really in between. So there was a lot of work that I didn't have to do that I did do. You just remember those times where the hose is piled up at the truck and you're dragging it from the truck
Right.
inside. Yes, it's a struggle.
But I wonder for you, like where you are today in this process of mentorship and being the engineer of your company, which takes on tremendous responsibility in your company for developing these younger kids and such. I wonder if you didn't go through all of that adversity on your journey up, would you have this systematic approach in place if you didn't recognize that there was a need for consistency and to be better at the craft?
It took a long time. There's a lot of maturing that happened with me during all this too, to get to the point that I am. By far, like training was about torture early on in my career. It was how difficult can we make it? How bad can I make you look? And it was easy, but through the easiness of making people, how do you say this, not look good at their job or proficient at their job because I set the scenario up.
Right.
I learned like what people are naturally going to do. Like I can look at a situation and make a practical drill, and I can almost tell you exactly where the mistakes are going to be made. Just because I can bait you into doing something by just showing you something, and you will bite every time because it's just what we do and how we were trained. So I noticed that way too much, and I used it to my advantage. But nowadays, since I know those things, I try to teach people those things, those simple little, hey, be paying a little more attention. And when you accidentally do something or you're almost fixing to do a bad habit or something wrong, there's somebody out there that would have done it wrong. They would not have stopped. So that's a great training drill to do, and watch how many people actually do what you almost did. Because it will. Because if you almost did it, somebody will do it.
There's a level of ego built into the fire service, and I often find that people that instruct, people that teach, often want to strut their authority and knowledge to those that don't have much of it. And
Yes.
that's what gets in the way of true learning, right? And that's what
100%.
builds walls and breaks down kids from wanting to take initiative or to put themselves out there because we have insecure and people that lack confidence that are teaching. And so they want to point out those little things that make people feel little, and it gives them a superiority complex. I hate
100%. Well,
but I think I was
guilty.
there once. Like
Yeah.
I think I was one of those guys when I was younger.
Yes. But now it's not. And we talked about it as, I lived through those bad things I did still today because there are people out there that assume that I'll still to be doing those same things now that I don't do. And it's very hard to change their minds that the old me is not the new me. So it is a battle.
I showed up at a meeting the other night that I haven't been to this organization's meetings in probably 10 years. And I showed up at the meeting because there's some things going on within our county, and I was curious if there was going to be any conversation about it. And I want to be informed, and I want to know what's going on. So I went to the meeting, and truly, I got one or two people that are affiliated with this that were a part of this group. They were, what are you doing here? What are you here for? Dirt? You here to stir it up? And I'm like, no. I'm here to be informed. I'm here to learn. I want to know what's going on. I was hoping you guys would speak of this topic. And I felt like, I wonder if because years ago I was a hothead and a big mouth, that I wonder if that's what they saw coming And so
Yes.
they saw me there waiting for a fight when in fact I wasn't there for a fight at all. And in fact, I support a lot of what they're talking about. I actually support it. But they looked at me as a potential foe, probably because of the baggage of how I used to conduct business years ago. I'm a totally different guy today than I was just yesterday, let alone 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't see that. They don't see the things you went through to be the person that you are today, and the lessons you learned.
Yes.
And
Yes.
my mentor did the things that I don't do now. And you're also associated to a lot of people that you were associated with back then too. So your crowd can also negatively impact you as well. They're all great guys. They're great firemen.
No
They
doubt.
made really good job, but they didn't have a hard time telling other people they didn't know how to do their job. And that just doesn't fly anymore. You don't get any positivity from that crew when you tell them they're not doing things
No.
the way they're supposed to, especially the way they did. It was an ego thing. We like to strut around.
I think about reputation often, and I think about my own journey in the fire service and where I was and where I am now. And I always say with maturity comes clarity, and I like to believe that. I think that over time you grow up in this industry, and I became a fireman at 18 years old. I mean, what do you know at 18? What do you know at 25, right? But we have
Yes.
so many, as the fire service today is trending younger and younger, and we're pushing guys that are younger and younger into positions that are leadership roles, right?
Right.
You really have to take a moment to really think about your position, not just in the firehouse, but in life. I mean, if you're 25 years old, can you truly be a life coach? Like that kind of conversation. And
Yeah.
I think about that today, and I talk about the importance of patience, and I can't stress that enough to people, how we need to have more patience than ever before, because nothing happens quickly, and a lot of people's careers can be damaged very early on, and it takes a long time to rebuild those bridges or to take back your reputation.
Right. And it's a lot of firefighters get upset with me because I'm very quick to correct you. I am extremely quick. I don't let things fly. If I don't like something, I'm going to let you know I don't like it. And I explain to you why I don't like it. And a lot of it's because it's mistakes I have made. And it's very unfair for me to see something going on and not try to let them know that's not a good decision because of XYZ. Then I didn't do anything by being a better person, because if I can't correct them from making the same mistakes I did, then I'm no good. I try to be the best person I can to help everybody I can. And they need those mentors to show them the right path and not have to go through the same difficulties I had to get to where I am today, or anybody else. But I feel like too many people will see a problem and they'll go over to their buddy and explain to them what they see going on, but they will never go to that firefighter and tell them what the issue is. So I'm very quick to correct it really, really fast, or give my opinion on it. And some get tired of me doing it all the time, but at least I know I tried to help them and give them the best opportunity I could.
I think there's a difference, right? When you look at ego versus conviction, right?
Yeah.
You're coming from a place of conviction, right? You have confidence in your skills and abilities, and so you're not afraid to address something that you believe to be wrong because you've experienced it or you've witnessed it before, and you want to make that correction, which a lot of people are afraid of confrontation. And so they see it as being confrontational, and so many people will shy away from that. But the other aspect of it too is a lot of people wouldn't have their own enough wits about themselves, have their own confidence of their own experience to be able to address somebody at that point of action, right? And
Yeah.
and so that is detrimental to the growth of the fire service. It's also detrimental to the growth of that person. I mean, why would we want something to fester? Why do we want people to not perfect a skill or do something incorrectly and not address it?
And it's simple things of how they talk to somebody, the way they worded something to a
Mm.
patient. It's very easy to go, hey, you can't word it that way because this is how they can interpret what you just said. And a
Yes.
lot of times it's in a negative way. And we want to come in a positive way. And the effects you get from that patient are so much more if you're just nice. And sometimes you think you're being nice by what you're saying, but you're being very, very negative with it. And
Yeah.
they just
Or
don't understand it till you
condescending.
sit down. Yes, very
Yeah.
condescending.
No doubt.
And they don't get it
No
till you
doubt.
really start to see it. So, or have that conversation and get them
And
to realize the other side of it.
and like I say all the time, I'm guilty too. Like I'm condescending to people often when I'm annoyed, right? Like it's just
Yes.
human nature, right? But it's
Yes.
recognizing it. That's the difference, I think, right? It's recognizing it, knowing when to turn it on and when you need to turn it off.
But
That's that
also,
maturity, I think. That's the clarity.
and having a crew where you have the maturity of when you know you're getting into that position, I can interrupt
Yes.
so it doesn't affect the call. And have that mutual respect
Yeah.
when I do something, you nicely step back and we'll talk about it later and notice it.
I have a note here from our last conversation, and it's minimum standards versus our standard. I love you and I got into that conversation, right? And
Yes.
I think what's really interesting is as you get into larger fire departments with multiple companies, you start to see different companies are standouts, and some companies are more aggressive, more techie, more this, more that. Some are lazy. It runs the gamut across the board, right? So the bigger the
Right.
fire department, the more opportunity it is to have multiple layers of different companies, right? And so I guess where I'm going with this, and what I loved, and I want you to expand on that, is like you guys at Station 4 have a standard. You have your standard. There's the checkbox minimum standard, and then there's yours.
Right. It's it really should it's simple stuff. It's our my biggest standard is be good at the basic stuff like pulling hose, throwing ladders, forcing doors, your search technique, all the simple stuff, but be very, very good at it. You should be able to take that ladder off at any time, go around the building and throw that ladder with no issues at all. If it's dark, you understand all the parts of the ladder when you grab it. To if you grab a pack without being able to see it, you know exactly which part of that pack you grabbed. It's just knowing your stuff, and it's not just because I pulled this hose off one time successful, I'm good at it. It's we have to do that 100 times good, and we're still not good enough. You know, we have to keep doing it and keep doing it, and with that standard, it shows out when we do practical stuff, or when we go and do drills, or we have fires. We're pretty successful at what we do. The lines are down fast; they're where they're supposed to be. But you have other crews; they're like, "Well, we pulled lines 2 months ago. We should be good." And we go to do a drill and they can't even get it off the truck. And you're like, just because we do it right once does not mean we can't continue to do it to be perfect at it. Because it's the weird
Right.
things. It's the, did I make this step right? Hey, I need to take an extra 2 steps before I turn or do this so I don't get it caught on my bottle. Um, but you only learn that stuff through repetition, repetition until you do it enough times, you just keep messing it up in ways that you didn't think. Um, Like we had a poor boy doing a drill. We were doing large area search, and his rope came out of his pocket, and the carabiner caught another tag rope. And as he was walking, it was feeding it out, and I felt it against my leg. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a problem." Well, it gets tight. Well, he goes ahead and puts his munner hitch on his gear, and he can't get it off. Like there's nothing he can do unless he cuts the rope to get it off.
Right.
And I let him go for like 3 minutes, and I was like, "Hey, man, I can stop this if you want to. Like, just tell me when you had enough." And he finally had enough. And it was like, you need to put that on a carabiner so you can get that off of you. That's the reason we teach you to put it on a carabiner. That's the reason we teach you to keep that carabiner where it won't hold on or hang on to something. These are the parts that you're starting to see when we tell you not to do this. But he would never be able to put those two together unless that happened in training to say, oh, they were
Yeah.
correct.
Right. Right. And better at happening training.
Right.
I mean,
But
that's where we want our people to make mistakes, right? And I
right.
wrote something down while you were talking, and I said, control what you can control. So if you practice and you practice getting whatever, you got a 250-foot Minuteman on, cross lay or whatever, and you
Yeah.
practice and practice and practice, you control it then, because you can control the practice. What you can't control is time of day, weather, double parked cars, fences, right? All that other shit. So you can't control that. But if you
No.
can 9.5 out of 10 times pull that line consistently every single time, those variables you can't control are the only obstacles you have to worry about now. Does that make sense?
100%. Yes, 100%. We just it's it's mind-boggling the people that don't do the simple things enough. And I always tell people when we do like drills, and I hate this part about drills is we can't successfully complete a drill because we can't do the simple things. Like we could do a hose advancement drill inside of a house. Well, they can't get the hose off the truck to get to the house. So now we have to go back and teach you how to make it inside before we're having to start instructing. When we're just trying to worry about the stuff inside, and it just kills me that we have to keep going back to play one before we even start. To the firefighter getting out and stuff's just hanging all over him because he couldn't get dressed. Then he goes to pull the hose. It's all tangled up and it gets caught into something else, and you just never get to the practical part of the drill that you want to get to because you're fixing all the other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I love about your process, right? Like, it's so premeditated in your approach that it's like, and the other thing too is like, we do get caught up on time frame, and you've said it consistently. I don't care how long it takes. It might take this guy a week. It might take this guy a month. I don't care. We have to make sure he's familiar and confident in those skills. I love that approach.
Because we just get too much where we skip. And then if you know you didn't successfully do it that first time or get it to where you want it to be, the next time you visit it, it's going to suck. Like if you halfway get them through there, it's always going to suck the second time.
I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly. So the standard for you guys then is you guys uphold a proficient standard within your company, meaning like, hey, there's check boxes. You guys come through the academy, you go through your refreshers, you get your CEUs, whatever you need. Like those are those necessary evils that we have to check the box. But that's not good enough here. We do it more than that, right?
Yes.
I love that. And do you, as the engineer within your company then, are you the one that controls the throttle?
For the most part, yes. Depending on the station and how long I've been there and how long the culture of that station's been there and how much I've been able to control it depends on how much involvement I am. And that's only because the past 2 years I've had 3 moves, so I got to go through this multiple times with the crew. But now at this new station, I'm at a point where I want the senior firefighters to do what I do. And it's letting off the throttle on me and just kind of standing back and watching and let them control the pace and try to show them, hey, that's a little too fast. Hey, that's a little too slow. We can go ahead and jump here. We can go here, and just guiding them through the mentorship part and getting them ready for that next step. So hopefully they can pass that on to somebody else.
How's that going for you?
It's going good. It's hard to step
isn't
back.
It? It's hard.
Yeah. I have to leave them alone. I'll just go inside and play on YouTube or something.
That's exactly why I'm asking you, because I understand that. It's hard when you're a hands-on guy. This is what's so important, right, for officers and people to understand, is that as you climb, you have to allow others then to take on that position you once were in. And I think we have this place in the fire service where guys are having a hard time letting go, and they helicopter over everyone else. I call it helicopter officering, like officers that don't
Yes.
let their people do anything unless they ask permission, right? That type of thing. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, micromanagement, right? But like I hate that term, but there's some validity to that. And we have to let our people find their way too. You can mentor them, but I know you're a hands-on guy. So for you to, my point is for you to just walk away and be like, I want you guys to start handling this. It's got to be, you're probably sitting in the corner, sitting on your hands, I bet, you know?
Yeah, and I try to make my rounds around, and I'll say two or three things, and then kind of walk away, and I va- or I evaluate how they're doing based on the progress of the rookie. So I'll go out and test the rookie and say, hey, I need you to do X, Y, Z, and I'll see how he does, and then go talk to them. Like I try not to associate with the rookie at all on his training. I'm trying my best to only go through the firefighters and say, hey, he did this, he did this, y'all need to work on this, and try to let them do that before I have to. No, the rookie knows if he's having any issues, he can always come to me and we'll work one on one. I don't want him to be scared to come to me with anything, but I'm just really trying to push them to be the person. And if I step
You
in there or
make a,
keep
you
stepping
make
in
a,
there,
you make a really good point, right? And what I want to talk about now, right, is like that chain of command. We're
yes.
people are going right around the chain of command these days. You have backstep kids talking to the chief, for God's sakes, right? And it's like I feel like the process is broken in a lot of places. And I think a lot of people see themselves as peers when you're not. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you and I growing up, like we would talk to the senior guy or the guy that was more senior than me, not even a senior man. Like we would just talk to the next guy, right? Like now you have kids going to officers or chiefs or their moms are calling the academy, right? Like think about it,
Yeah.
right? It's crazy. So the chain of
Yes.
command has to be followed both ways. If you want to set the example, right, Matt, then you have to go
Yeah.
talk to the senior fireman. Don't go talk to the recruit. Go find out how the kid's doing by talking to who's mentoring them.
Right. And it helps with the whole like system of it because we were talking about the chain of command earlier today with a good buddy of mine, Michael Sells, that you
Yeah,
met down in Alabama. So me and him were talking about it, and it's like as a driver, I can protect the firefighter way more than the lieutenant can. So trying to get these younger guys to say, hey, call me first. If you're going to be late or you're going to be anything, call me first because I might be able to help you out. But if you call the lieutenant now has to do something. He's in a position
yes, he
to
has to
have
act.
to. Yes. So, and just those simple things and trying to make sure they understand the benefit to them at the end of the day. Because lieutenant loves them. He wants to watch after them. He wants to baby them. He wants to make them, whatever. But he's also bound to certain things that he can't break. Where I have a little more
That's right.
leniency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that front seat relationship. I love that between the chauffeur or the engineer, whatever you call whatever you call yourself. Well, everybody listening to this, there's 1,000 terms for the guy that
Oh
drives, right?
yeah, yeah.
But at the end of the day, that relationship with the officer, how important is that?
Uh, I think it's extremely. One, he needs to depend on me as well as much as I need to depend on him. Um, he's got to make good decisions for everybody on the scene. But I also need to have the ability to check him too. And all my officers have been very good about that. And I also got to be able to accept from them to be checked as well. It's and in the heat of the moment, we have to accept those checks. So, say I'm
Right.
driving to a call and he says, "Hey, let off of it." I'm going to let off of it. If I felt like I shouldn't have, we'll have that discussion later. If we're pulling up to a fire and I say, "Hey, don't do that," he's probably not going to do that, or he's going to rethink it, and then we may talk about it later. And I could be in the wrong by telling him not to do something by the end of it, but we trust each other enough to be able to make that, and we'll worry about it later. We'll
Yes.
kind of listen to each other, feed off each other.
I think that word trust is powerful, man. It's a powerful word. And I am optimistic that we can maintain that word in the fire service to the level that it's always been at. But I find there are a lot of yesers, a lot of guys who say yes, but they don't follow through on that yes, right? Or,
Right.
you understand what I'm saying, and they shake their head, nod at you, and then they walk away, and they have no idea what you're talking about. That built-in trust is imperative, and it has to be from the lowest level all the way up through the process, because when the shit hits the fan and I have to trust that you're going to be where I'm asking you to be, I need to know you could do that. But if you can't even take the freaking garbage out when I ask you to, or you can't, help out doing a menial task or knowing where you fit in there, I am gravely concerned that you're going to leave me hanging when it matters.
Right. I also think it needs to happen quickly. Like the discussions and hard discussions need to happen very, very quick. Expectations need to be set. And I think that's the first start to the trust process. But if we just kind of fill each other out and we kind of do this, when it comes to something that you now want to expect or want to change, it's very, very difficult. You have to hit it right off the bat. So that's one thing I do with all my officers is I go in and ask them their expectations of me, and then I nicely tell them my expectations from them. So, and usually it works
Right.
out really well.
Right. Yeah, well, that's good, but you have that environment that is, that's just how it is, and it's probably been that way for a long time. I find like it's hard to come back when departments or companies can maintain a certain level, and then the next generation comes in. You bring them up in understanding what the values are. You typically have a succession planning that works really well. It's the companies that ride the reputation of yesterday that think they're what they used to be and they're not. And now you start involving new people. The process and the culture changes dramatically, right?
100%. We see that a lot of, we call it coattail riding too, where they come under really, really good officers and they ride that reputation for most of their career.
I'm writing that down. I like that coattail riding. I always talk about just are you as good as the reputation? Like, does your reputation precede you getting there? And now, are you the same company that they once were, right? There's a lot of engine companies and truck companies that were rock star companies 25 years ago that have an impeccable reputation. But the guys that are riding that company today, do they maintain that same culture and that same level of service? I don't know. I
don't think so. Not all the time. I think you have to have a piece.
Yeah.
You have to have a piece somewhere that was there, somewhere in that station at some point. If you start to break it up too much, it's lost. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Something else you said to me too, which I loved, was the last time we spoke. You mentioned to me the importance of you can't always keep your rock star in-house. And that resonated with me because you always want the best for your own company when you're working that day, right? You want the right guys on your company, right? And this and that. So if we got to farm people out, but you made a very good point. I want you to talk about it again because I want people to understand that perspective and point of view, right? So what I said was you can't always keep your rock star in-house. Sometimes you got to let them go. Why?
I feel like you have to let them see the other side of the world. If you have a rookie that comes into a rock star house and that's the only thing they know, their expectation of everybody else is way too high a lot of times, and they're expecting everyone to perform at their level. And until they get out and start getting at some of the stations that don't have the same people, and you see the struggles they're having to have just to train, to do things, they're not ever going to understand. So I like for everybody to have a little bit of time outside those houses so they can kind of have that comparison and be more sympathetic when it comes to working with those crews. But, when they come back, they have a lot more appreciation.
That's the return, right? The healthy appreciation for what they actually have, right?
Yes.
Because I think even when you're in the best of companies, you take for granted what you know. You take for granted where you are, and you can gain a real appreciation real fast when you go somewhere else. The grass isn't always greener somewhere else, right?
No.
And I think a lot about that, because today in the fire service, we love to just point the finger and blame everything else. And it's like, but are you putting in the work to make the change? Are you truly trying to better where you are, or do you just think it's always better somewhere else? And a lot of people will jump ship thinking it's better elsewhere, only to find out it's not so good.
It's usually the same ship. So
Yeah.
you're just having to work with different people. So
Yeah, I agree. Well, Matt, I love this, man. It was a fun conversation. What's next for you? Like, what are you gonna do? Engineer for life or what?
engineer for life in my department, unfortunately. That's what I say. We have to be paramedics to be officers, and I just it hasn't worked out for me and my family for me to go to paramedic school, and I do a lot of part-time stuff, so it kind of really affects the money. So I'll probably just stay engineer.
Yeah,
But I
well,
like
it's not
it.
so bad. It sounds like it's a pretty good spot for you. It sounds like you do it well, sir.
Well, I try my best, and it's great to be able to speak your mind too. I get to say a little more than a lieutenant can, so helps me out.
Well, that's it. But I think you also get to maintain and hold the line, right? And at the end of the day, like, we need those guys too. I mean, I always talk about we need the solid guys to promote, so they have a seat at the table, so that decisions that are being made represent guys like you and I. And so we want firemen at the table, right? We don't want people that get pushed through the system to be making decisions that affect you and I every day. So we want the backstep fireman that comes from an A company to sit at that table, because they set the expectation, right? And those are the guys that represent us. But
Right.
we also need guys that can stay put too. We need seniority on that engine or truck company also. We don't want to lose every senior guy that comes up through that company. We want to hold on to them.
Yeah, and I really got to see the whole light of it all because we're doing a conference. Me and Buddy Sales worked on it for about 5 years, so we're doing a department wide conference here coming up, and we're looking for instructors for our engineer side of it. And me and Sales told each other we couldn't teach. We just had to make sure everything got managed. So I was trying to find people to teach the things that I wanted taught, and the list was
Right.
very, very small. And it really put it in perspective. I was like, oh, they're either lieutenants or they're retiring. So you just don't have the long-term drivers like we used to.
Perspective, right? It's where you are
Yes.
today. So when you look at that, it's, these younger kids that are taking on these roles and positions that are stepping up and doing that. Awesome. They just have to understand that, unfortunately, they don't have the tutelage or the mentors there that you once had to teach that next step. I mean, that's hard, man. When we start losing all that skills and all those years, that's hard. It's hard on it's hard on a department for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So,
And just,
Matt,
not
thank
having
you,
the
man. I
time.
appreciate you joining me today. What's
You're
that?
welcome, brother. Nothing. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I just enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for coming back and doing part 2, because, my stupidity on the first one, man. I'm not the most tech savvy guy, and I should have stopped, and I didn't. So I appreciate you
okay.
having patience with me coming back. I know how valuable your time is, so I appreciate you joining me. If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you? You on social media? You got a place? You got an email? Anything?
I'm on Facebook. It's my name, Matthew Bays. Also email mbays1100 at yahoo.com. So either of those two
Awesome.
will be just fine.
Awesome.
Yep.
And I hope I'll see you in March again. I think it's March this year, Fairhope, Alabama. And,
I hope so too.
That was what a great conference that they do. Anthony Rowett and the association. They just do such an incredible training event. That's where you and I had met the last couple of years, and then your buddy Sales was the one that said, you got to get him on. You got to go talk to him and get him on the show. He'd be a great addition to the lineup of guests.
Yeah.
And I agree, man. You crushed it today. A lot of fun. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. I'm looking forward to getting back to Fairhope. That's a magical place, and I'm looking forward to getting back there. So we'll see you, I think, in March it will be.
It will be, and hopefully
Good.
we're all there.
There you go. Matt Bays, thank you for joining me, pal. I appreciate you. Stay right here. I'm going to sign off the podcast. Come right back to you, okay?
All right.
Awesome. Guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of the National Fire Radio Podcast. Matt Bays out of Gwinnett County, Georgia. What a great conversation. There's a lot of great nuggets in here. I took a ton of notes and timestamps that we're going to be creating some great clips on. And that's really what this is all about, man. Solid message from solid guests, and I love doing it. I'm a lucky guy. So as I say at the end of every single episode, take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse and talk about it. Because when we're talking about the job, we're making the job better. I'll see you at the next one. Jeremy, National Fire Radio.
National Fire Radio.